Hey, sorry it's been a while, but tired, bit busy the last month and a half. So, I wasn't able. I tried recording about 3 weeks ago an update on my current situation, but um, got interrupted, and then and had to re-record, and memory ran out, and I didn't get another chance. Haven't had it in me. I know I said I'd try to be a bit more frequent, but I have an excuse. So, late August, we're behind on rent. And so the landlord contacts me, says, I expect this month's rent by the end of it, and by the 15th, I expect the next month's rent. I know for a fact we aren't capable of doing that. So I tell him, okay, I will accept an eviction. And he's like, so you're gonna sublet? And I'm like, no. I will not be capable of it. Evict us and find someone else. Told the others, they hated it. And it turned out we had 48 hours to get our crap out and clean the place. I already knew we lost the damage deposit, but that was a real pain. Then me and my fiance and a friend who had taken our side in the whole it was a bit of a falling out. It was a real mess. We took off to my mom's place overnight and would be back to finish cleaning the place. I ended up calling renters' rights and whatever and finding out that we had till midnight, and if we stayed any longer, he could charge us more rent, which I knew we couldn't afford. So, but the others, since we had left in the morning and didn't come back by 3 p.m., decided, okay, they've abandoned it, so we can abandon it and not have to come and clean. And then when we got there, we were like, hey, guys, when are you gonna come back and help? And they were like, you abandoned it, you left it behind. And it's like, we're here now, and it was a mess. It was a terrible mess. You could call it a trash heap, you could call it a pigsty. It was terrible. A culmination of 6 lazy people, and just no one had enough motivation to clean up after everyone, and everyone wasn't cleaning up after themselves. And then when it came to like one person having the motivation to clean up after themselves, but no one else did, they would just check out, you know what, screw it. And I'm thinking that was partly the case. Part of it was just laziness, which I will take responsibility. I was pretty lazy. Wasn't the only one, but pretty lazy. And we cleaned up the entire house. A 4-bedroom house with 2 floors in 3 hours. It was terrible. Ended up, one of my roommates took my piano, my keyboard, who had been stealing from me over months, and taking it and using it as leverage to force us to, instead of throwing it in the alley where someone could just pick it up and take it, to either leave things in the house, which we couldn't do. I made it clear, so they said, okay, then put that in the backyard with the rest of my crap. So we put their belongings in the backyard because they were holding my belongings hostage, right? They took my keyboard, which I had gotten for Christmas a few years ago and was actually looking forward to. I had moved it into my house to learn piano, and they took it, and it was wrapped up in my favorite body pillow that I've had for years, and a duvet that my mom gave me earlier this year when I was just starting out and I had nothing. And that was all wrapped up. It was the piano case. I think it had the chords somewhere, and they just took it. They stole it and used it as leverage to blackmail me into doing what they wanted. Then at the end of the weekend, when they go to get their crap, there are boards missing in the fence. It's the North End. It's a harsher area. You see people wielding Bowie knives just walking down the street, and you see something on the corner, come back 2 hours later, it's gone. And there were boards missing in the fence. Things are visible. It got stolen. They forced us to leave a microwave. They forced us to leave a couch. They forced us to leave their bike. They forced us to leave so many things. There were some things that were just straight up abandoned in their room, and we knew they wouldn't want it. They had left behind clothes, so it's like, okay, keeping this pair of pants. I mean, not me, I didn't fit their clothes, but that sort of thing happened because we were cleaning through the trash pile that was their room. They said, well, I cleaned my part, you didn't do your part, and it's like, you didn't do shit. So we cleaned that up, and then me, my fiance, and that friend ended up staying at my mom's for a month. I had to fight with my mom frequently to keep the friend staying there. It's not like she was kicking her out, but she didn't want her there. It's not her kid. Should have just gone back to her mom, and I was under the impression that her mom was so bad, and she was so scared of being around her and upset. So we applied for an apartment together, and I put up money to secure it for us and start paying off the rent. And I find out, I did that on Friday, and I find out on Monday She calls me up from when she was staying with her mother's, and she was like, I was thinking about this for a while. I'm gonna move in with my mom. After her name was on the application here, and I put up my money. My mom had covered medications that she needed because she was a dumbass and deafened herself with a Q-tip, which she always does, and then got an ear infection. My mom put up $80 for necessary medications. I got that out of her before she took her stuff from my mom's garage. And I asked her to pay me back the $200 that I put up for the apartment, and she just hasn't responded anymore. I wasn't counting on her paying for it, but I'd hoped she would at least be a decent person and keep her word. Apparently I was mistaken in that regard. We managed to find a place in the city because being outside of the city, we can't contact our workers, we can't do intake meetings, we can't do job interviews, we can't check out apartments, we can't do anything, and we've been needing our own space. So we got a cheap place that I was able to get with what little money I had. And still working off on paying the rest of the rent, but within the next few days it'll be done. I accepted almost $1,000 worth of debt in bills that I accumulated supporting leeches in my name and my name alone. What makes it worse is I overpaid Hydro. I overpaid them because they gave us a cancellation notice days after I paid it. So I paid them again. So there was $160 extra in the account when I closed it. But because one of my roommates who didn't have work after the first month we lived there and they didn't put up for rent ever and spent the rest of the time freeloading saying, well, I'm looking for work online. And I'm like, well, get on assistance like you were telling everyone else to. And they're like, I'm working on it. And I follow through. Nothing. They just took and took and took and never gave back. And sure enough, it's in their name. And the refund check got to my mom's. And it's got their name on it. And it can't be cashed without their name, without their signature. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna see if the bank will overlook it, but that's money that could help me survive right now. And they took so much from me. That was 5 months of my life. Hemorrhaging money and getting nothing from it. My phone got cut off almost 3-4 months ago now. And the first money they got, they put towards their phone. And then it got cut off, and they were whining and complaining. And I'm like, yeah, well, complain about it. I'm like, yeah, I know. It sucks. And I'm like, yeah. Now think if you have to talk to doctors and workers, and it's your only form of communication with the outside world, outside of the Wi-Fi that I got into debt putting up. I made a mistake in leaning on people and moving in with people that I didn't intimately know. I made a huge mistake there. I made a huge mistake supporting my friends because I thought they'd have my back. I made a huge mistake not kicking them out sooner, but one of them, the worst of them, the only one who never followed up with getting on assistance so that they could get some income, the only one that went to a botched interview and never followed up, ever, was the one on the lease. The one who put their phone before their home. Sure enough, I talked to a mutual friend of ours, you know, not super close, not super tight or anything, not like that or anything, but I like them. They're really cool. Turns out that roommate stole $400 from them, used them for housing, and made everything about them. And I just messaged them and said, hey, how's it going? And they're like, hey, got a question for you. And here I am having an anxiety attack thinking, oh God, oh God, oh God, I'm gonna have to be faced with a sob story and I'm gonna have to tell them the truth and I'm gonna end up hated by this person. But no, they asked, have you ever been wronged by this person? So I say, yes, I have. And I list off some of the ways and they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, I'm not saying this to make you hate them. And they're like, no, I already do. $400. That person now has my old roommate's bed to try and make up for it, like it was abandoned. But what makes me the most angry was 2 of my roommates in a relationship went and got a cat full of fleas, full of worms. Gave our kitten fleas. I don't know. I think our kitten already had the worms. Turns out they had piles of takeout containers and tons of food hoarded in their room while there were people in the house starving. Literally starving. Like, I lost muscle mass. I was going hungry so much. I mean, it was fine. We had rice. And one of them had even said, like, well, we always had rice in the house. Yeah, plain rice and nothing to go with it. Yeah, so you never starved. And that little kitten suffered. He might not have made it another 2 weeks. When we took him to my mom's, my mom cried. She gave him a bath, and the white fur on his chest was black with the number of fleas that were on him. We were scared he might have to be put down. He was so weak and sickly. He was literally a skeleton and this huge lump of a stomach because he was full of worms. My mom covered the cost of a vet visit for the tiny one and got medications for them both. They're healthy now. They're growing, and they're so strong and so sweet. So they're okay. But they abandoned the kitten. We took ours with us. They locked him into my bedroom with a bowl of food and a bowl of water. Not even a litter box or anything. And they left him. My friend Christian went to grab some of our stuff and saw the kitten in there and called him up and was like, hey, what the hell? And they're like, yeah, I'm abandoning it. I don't care anymore. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Abandoning him. So we took him in. Of course I was going to. Hell, the day they brought him home, one of them dumped him on us for babysitting and went to watch friggin' anime for hours straight, and the other one was at work. Comes home, terrorizes him. He still has issues being picked up and not held against a body because the owner would just hold him up, listen to him scream, and be like, ha ha ha, he screamed. And I'm like, stop it, you're terrifying him. He's gonna have issues with this. And he's like, no, it's funny. And then he would have just fallen asleep on the couch, and then they pick him up, play with him, get him all riled up, and then complain when he wouldn't settle down when they wanted to sleep. Like, you woke him up. And now he's excited, now he's stressed, now he's scared, and you're complaining about him not being able to settle down, so they push him out of their room and close the door. This was a 5-week-old kitten. They're not supposed to be taken from their mom until they're 8 weeks old. They willfully ignored that. It says so on the Kijiji ad. But they said, well, it can eat and it can use the litter, so it's fine. They willfully. And they were eating like freaking royalty and going to the movies every few days. While I was floundering in debt, and while people in the house were starving, and while that kitten was getting closer and closer to death. And they willfully ignored all the suffering around them, and they just didn't care. They went 3 days without checking the food and water for the mice that they got. Ended up dumping them out in the alley when they got kicked out. And then the one who I stuck my neck out for and gave her a place to stay because her mom's was so terrible. And then I asked her, well, think about what your mom, being with your mom's gonna do, how it's gonna stress you out. And she's like, my mom isn't even an issue. And suddenly she's all buddy-buddy with her mom. And here I am, fighting with my mom. Fighting for her. And then she turns around, and the reason that I've been fighting for her turns out to be nothing but a farce. And the house that I shared with her. My mom's home that I opened up to her because I thought she couldn't go anywhere else. The house that I fought for. And the moment she would have to put up and show any responsibility and do anything but what she wanted to do for herself, she skips out. Now I've got a place, and it's good. It's gonna be better now, but I'm gonna have to struggle hard in the future just to get a place, get enough money for it, manage payments. Getting down the debt is gonna be a pain. Turns out it's a bit less than 1,000 because I paid down hydro, I paid down waste and water, but I've got $800 potential debt. I've got a couple routers I can return, which may cut that cost down. I don't know. With Wi-Fi companies, I've got house insurance that I've got to find out the final total that I owe them, and I shouldered what I had to get out of a bad situation. It just sucks that I always have to cut my losses and sacrifice just to get away. I'm learning every time, though, so in the future I won't make the same mistake. I just thought, for once, friends would have my back. Turns out they do nothing but stab me in it instead. On the upper hand, look at our little place. Oh, 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 and hold on. Look at our babies. This one's Lee and this one's Shifu. And, oh. They're more interested in playing, but they're pals. They're really great. They're so sweet. And they're actually really clean too, when we remember to clean their litter frequently enough. It's really good actually. I'm happy to see them doing better. And we'll be doing better soon. It's been rough, but I'm working on moving forward. Just hurts sometimes. Maybe I'll build a better group of friends this time. And I look forward to living life on my own terms. I really look forward to that. Actually being able to live to be happy instead of just living to support people that were using me. I'm probably gonna be okay. I know how to fight to survive, and I know how to survive, so I'll be good. I'm good at surviving. On the other hand, a friend recommended this book series, the Dresden Files. Oh my god, it's so good. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. It's really cool. It's about this modern warlock. And he's so sarcastic, and he's got a cat named Mister. And I'm honestly just saying, he accidentally got a date. It's hilarious. Would recommend. But I'm gonna go now, because I've dragged on long enough. Nice talking to you again. I'll try to update more frequently, because now life's gonna be a lot less stressful. So, talk to you later. Bye.